you go.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Fuel Stop Chats. I'm Chris.
I'm James.
And with us tonight, we got Molly and Brian Vaughn. We're pretty excited. No, it's Molly Vaughn.
Yeah, I have a brother named Brian, so let's not confuse the world. It's actually Molly Vaughn and Brian Shaffran.
That's right. Shaffran.
SCH.
CH. I was close.
You
I
know,
remember as soon as she said that, I was like, wait a minute. I just read his bio. It's Shaffran. Oh,
Yeah,
holy, we were just talking about it.
we just did
See what you did to me,
just did
James?
all of
James.
this show prep, and you still jack it up.
And I even have it written down on my
Let it
friggin'
go, but,
notepad. I got it written down on my notepad.
I got it written down.
Reading is
Jesus
fundamental, and I'm
Christ.
talking to two educators. Oh my God. Where are
I'd
we
let
going?
it go, but my brother's an author, so if you said Brian Vaughn, you might actually get 1 million hits then.
Oh no, so Brian Vaughn.
Brian Vaughn.
Okay.
Brian Vaughn. Pick up his book, Brian Vaughn. Look for it on Kindle. I'll have a link to it right after this.
Or go to your
What kind
local bookshop.
There you go. What's he write? What kind of books?
Oh, we don't want to get into that, but they're great.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
You'll
We
get a
would
whole
get
new crew in here.
We
so.
would get a
Oh, yeah,
million hits.
No.
James's phone number is 919-999999.
9. You forgot one.
So Brian and Molly were kind enough to join us tonight. We really got excited reading about Skidmark, and we really got excited about MotoGo, and just wanted to learn more about that and share that with folks. And you guys are in Cleveland, right?
Yep.
Oh man, on purpose, right?
Yeah. Best kept secret in America.
Yeah. So driving the VW van around LA and getting all the help from the mechanical dude, and then you moved to Cleveland.
Well,
So, yeah, tell us a little bit about how you got there in the project.
so that I grew up in Cleveland, bought the Volkswagen bus here, and then a buddy and I drove across country for about a month, and I stopped in LA and stayed for 7 years, and then came back to finish my degree and get a job.
That happened to a lot of people that traveled west. Everybody wonders, like, why did they stop in Lawrence, Kansas? Well, that's where the horses in the wagon died. So I got to LA, my VW died, and I stayed for 7 years until I could get the money to go home. I like it. So tell us a little bit about Skidmark, how that got started, and then how you guys spun up MotoGo so that our listeners know what the heck it is we're talking about.
So in '95, when I had to fix my Volkswagen bus 1 million times and had no money, my mechanic would start lending me tools instead of taking my money. He was the greatest guy, Gamora Automotive. He would give me a quick, like, here's how you do this. Open your idiot's guide and follow directions on this page. Here's a tool you need. Go take care of it. And he wouldn't charge me anything. And after doing that for 6 months or a year, I approached him and said, can I put my bus up on your lift so that I can pull the engine out? And he was like, no, you absolutely cannot use my lift. That insurance would shut me down. There's no way, you can't. And I said, well, will any mechanic let me borrow the lift? And he was like, hell no, there's no mechanic on the planet that would let you do that. So
Right.
That immediately led my brain to, oh man, there should be a place where any Joe can go and put their car up on a lift. And so that led to the idea of this like DIY car garage. And in Los Angeles, where there's 3 trillion people, and everyone but like 3 of them are living in apartments without garages and without tools, I figured this would be $1 billion idea, and everybody would come in to do their oil changes and their tire changes and all the maintenance things. And there'd be 10 car lifts and one guy kind of in charge. It would kind of give directions here and there. And, but I was broke as a joke, and everyone I told about the idea was like, oh, that's cool. We don't have any money either. So I just sat on the idea for 20
Everybody wants a free garage, Brian.
Yeah, right. I sat on the idea for 20 years and just kept playing it over in my head. And I moved back home to Cleveland. And then And I still had only ridden a motorcycle once or twice by the time I bought my first one, which was 2002. And it was an old Honda CB750. And I bought that and immediately took it to the dealer that sold it in 1978. And I was like, hey, I just bought this thing that someone bought from you a million years ago. Can you get this thing running better? And they're like, well, no, we don't touch bikes that are over 10 years old. And I was so incensed. I just couldn't understand because I didn't have the experience of what it's like to work on an old bike. So I took it home and I bought a manual and I started taking it all apart myself and putting it back together myself and screwing it up and taking it apart and putting it back together over and over and over. And in that process, it occurred to me, well, shit, I should do a motorcycle community garage instead of a car community garage. Way less liability. No, there's not a 8,000-pound something on a lift that's going to squash somebody.
Yeah, no lifts. Perfect.
Yeah. So
bike lifts.
Just kind of went from there. As soon as I realized bikes were the way to go, like that was my in my head. I'm like, well, that's the only piece of the puzzle I was missing. And so I just started like going to garage sales and stowing away tools in the back of the garage and collecting as much stuff as I could, knowing that someday I'd pull the trigger on this. And then I quit my job teaching, and a friend of mine hired me in his software company so I could work from home. So I basically worked from the garage, sitting on the couch on the computer, and was able to sit there while the garage was open and running and could run back and forth and help people out. And that's kind of how it got off the ground.
Oh man, that's such a cool story. So I just want to go back to one thing you said about the garage you went to. It was named Gomorrah. And you're a history teacher, and obviously the association of Gomorrah with shit getting blown up and not working right.
It's funny, that's his last name, but
let me take my car to the place named after I gotcha. And the 3 trillion people in LA, that doesn't equate to 3 trillion cars. It's 6 trillion cars.
Yeah, no doubt.
James and I have rental bikes. We're trying to get to LA to turn them in to catch the train to San Diego. And
they weren't just rental bikes. They were GSs. So they got the big cases on them.
Freaking fatties going lane splitting. So anyway, we're trying to get these bikes turned in to catch this. And it was the sunset train from LA to San Diego. So you could see the Pacific, the sunset in the Pacific, right? And it's supposed to be kind of cool. We're going to San Diego for work, and we've got like 2 hours to get back. And it's the weekend of the Olympic marathon trials.
Cool.
Now there are 12 trillion people in LA. And all of them must have been going back to the place we were trying to turn our rental bikes in. So I'm like, who wants to live here and drive like that every day? It's just so. Molly, how did you get hornswoggled into this whole thing?
This mess.
Yeah. You married into all these tools?
I don't know. I went to school to be a gym teacher, and I had a minor in poetry and fashion design. So here I am in the natural transition to executive director of a motorcycle nonprofit.
I can totally
it rolls
see that.
right off the top. It's very poetic. I mean, I get the poetry, and
a quick detour as a wedding photographer in there, but now I'm back on track.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was what my high school counselor told me that my path was too, but I don't know what happened. I fell off the train.
Same thing. I get out of high school with this just passion for poetry. I go to college to play nose guard, and they said, well, I don't know about the poetry thing because it's interfering with workouts in the morning. So I joined the Army, and that's where I leapt from poetry to dance and theater while I was in the Army.
Mm-hmm.
People shoot at you, you dance a lot, you bit very theatrical.
He's got the moves.
They got the moves, man.
Moves like Jagger.
There's nothing like an AK to make you dance.
Well,
but
let me take that back. It's not moves like Jagger, it's moves like Jägermeister.
Jägermeister. Yes. That definitely is lubrication for the moves.
So I am very interested in learning about the whole school. And
MotoGo piece.
Just, the school where you're bringing girls in and teaching them small gas engine or just motorcycle in general, because that is so wicked cool. I love the idea of, girls getting into STEM and mathematics and getting more into an IT industry. Chris and I are both in the IT industry, and it's dominated by males. The fact that girls are starting to learn mathematics are not shame. Let me take that back.
Edit. Girls have known mathematics for a long time, James.
My wife is going to kill me. Yeah, my wife is going to kill me.
Your cave door flap is flapping back there.
Yeah, my wife is going to kick my ass.
I can't wait till Ro hears this episode. Wait, let me go get Tammy.
Oh,
you should hear what James just said. Did you ever watch the movie about the women whose mad math skills solved the whole Apollo problem? Did you miss that episode? That was in the 60s,
edited.
bro.
This is so getting edited.
No, it's not. No, it's not. If it gets edited, I will absolutely come down there and haunt you.
I know. No, this is all staying.
So go back to what you were saying about back in the day when women learned math skills.
I know you meant well.
Molly, don't let him off the hook. Come on. You should have smoked him for that.
The only saving grace on this is that if I get this podcast up tonight, my wife will listen to it tomorrow. And then hopefully by the time I get home on Saturday, she will have forgotten it all. But highly doubtful. No, what I meant to say is I'm glad that girls are getting more into an IT industry, and it's helping that the STEM programs out there are helping that along. What I like about what you guys are doing is bringing girls into motorcycling, because there's not a lot of girls in motorcycling. There's not.
Fastest growing rider segment in the United States.
Yes, but it's still dominated by males. And anything that's going to bring that kind of awareness into the fastest growing market segment is exciting to me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna shut the fuck up at this point. And just
seriously.
Did you tell you guys a little bit about MotoGo in case any of the listeners are like, "What the hell are these guys talking about?"
Yeah, that'd be a great idea. James, go back on mute and let Molly talk for a minute.
I know we've lost most of our female identifying audience, but for the gentlemen still listening, MotoGo exists to spark confidence in kids to build their own future. So while it is about it's shop class. It's not anything, it's not new brain science. It's small engine shop class. It's just kids today have 1,000 awesome, exciting, distracting things in front of them. So we needed something cooler and sexier than a really boring lawnmower or the shop class days of a birdhouse. So
yeah, I mean, God forbid somebody gets into software development. How lame is that?
Well, maybe you would have had a different trajectory if you found us. So we use Honda CB350s. They're small, they're accessible. As you know, they were like the most highly produced motorcycle in the US. You can find one in every grandma's barn, especially in this tri-state area around us where we have a guy, because everybody's got a guy. We got a guy that goes around these 3 states and buys all of the motorcycles. So we have like 40 in our stock right now. And we're actually bringing shop class to the schools. Some of the schools are coming to us in our 5,000 square foot warehouse space. One all girls high school, the nuns gave us their garage and gave it up, and we turned their convent garage into a motorcycle garage, which is super
nice.
And you weren't wrong, about 70% of our students are female identifying. So for whatever reason, I think maybe we have more to prove, and it's kind of really exciting when you start learning the vocabulary, and then, you can
I think it's ego.
Upsold.
I think it's ego. I think a 17-year-old dude doesn't want to go in there and let anybody know he doesn't know anything about motorcycles.
Yeah,
right?
Totally. Yeah.
I think that's a lot of it. And I think what you said about your mission statement earlier, it is much more than just working on small engines. The confidence that's built when you get done with a project like that and say, hey, look what I've done. I did this by myself, had a little help, but you know, whether it's welding something on the frame or it's, you know, repairing an engine or fixing a tire, it's still a major accomplishment that the majority of the United States couldn't do.
Yeah, and you know, when you guys reached out to us, you actually asked us about maybe having a student on. We tried to get her tonight, but there's a young woman, I guess I'll call her a young woman. She's 17 maybe. Her name's Elise, and she took a class with us. Super cool. The kids did a spring break immersion. So it was a class of mostly all female identifying students. And they put together a Honda CB350, as we always do. At the end, they're doing their kickstart at the Auto Crawford Museum, or the Crawford Auto Museum, which is cool. Their motorcycle is on display in a like super cultural arts center in Cleveland, that some people know about. It's right by where the Cleveland Orchestra plays. So to think that they're seeing this piece of art, you know, the motorcycle is a piece of art on display. But what's really cool about Elise, we asked her after why she liked taking this class, and she said, you know, one of the coaches at one point, some of the kids got a wrench stuck in the bike. And instead of him just picking up the wrench and saying, oh, this is what you got to do to get it out of there, her favorite part of the class was that the coach looked to her and said, well, what do you think you might want to do to try and get this out? I need your advice, Elise. And she said, as a female in high school, she's never felt validated or valued or honored by a male teacher, but to have him come to her and just kind of be quiet and ask her, what did she think? It really inspired her. So when the class ended, she actually bought a Honda CB350, and now fast forward, she's a member at Skidmark Garage, hanging out in the garage, working on her own bike.
Oh man, that's a fantastic story.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
next
really
time,
cool.
next time we get together, I
Yeah.
have to get Elise to tell her story.
Yeah, she's cool.
Yeah.
That is really neat. So where do you think this goes? I mean, are you thinking about maybe, I know you said you reached out to a lot of the schools, which I think is amazing. I would love to see a program like that here for the kids. It's, you know, to take shop class to them or take them to, you know, a place like that where they, you know, but do you see the day when the 501(c) has franchised, you know, Skidmark MotoGo locations?
We are back and forth about it. Like, as far as the nonprofit, we did a strategic planning process where we decided right now to grow wider within Cleveland. But it's important to keep a smaller percentage of our growth into growing deeper. So we have kids in the city that need more than just a one and done shop class. You know, we had an intern that was working with us for a couple years who became an employee who we hoped one day would take over maybe even Skidmark Garage. And unfortunately, you know, crime in the city is still a problem here. So he was actually murdered while playing a game of basketball, and we lost our intern. But more than that, you know, Cleveland lost a bright light in this kid, Marlon Oliver. So while we do want to franchise maybe one day down the road, there's so much work to do here in Cleveland that I think we owe it to the city to concentrate what we can here now. But if there's other people out there that want to start their local chapter of whatever you want to call it, I think both Brian and I are an open book when people call and they say, hey, I want to start a community garage, or I'm thinking about teaching classes. There's a local guy here who wanted to start teaching classes to guys in halfway houses. So we actually lent him some of our tools and lent him a lift. Chet Aiden of Aiden Customs, you might know the name, but yeah, we, you know, there's enough for everybody. We don't need to own the market on shop class. We didn't invent it. You know,
No, I think the model is what's so attractive. It's not shop class or DIY garage. I mean, when I was in the Army, one of the best benefits we had was the fact that we could go down and we had a garage, we had tools we could use, you know.
And I've often thought of that, you know, when I remember I was driving down the street and there was a garage being put in. It was called Christian Brothers. And I thought, and I saw all the stalls and I thought, there's no way this can just be a regular mechanic shop. And it ended up being that. But I was so hoping that it was just going to be like the auto center. You know, when I was at Fort Bragg, you show up, you pay your $2, you get any tool that you want. They got experts there to help advise you. They have all the books. You need a lathe, you need, you know, anything. I used to do all kinds of work on my Camaros there. It was great.
Had a K10 pickup, man, swapped an engine out in a weekend with a buddy of mine, and it cost us $4 for the stall rental. And the cool thing about being in the Army, Brian, there is no OSHA thing about lifts, that because I mean, if the truck falls on you, they don't really care. So it's no big deal. We had a hospital on base. It was awesome.
You end
But,
up owing the Army money because you broke Army material.
That's right.
By,
You get
by
written up
breaking
on
you.
it. Article 15, pal. But I think helping. I just love my daughter. So I have two girls, and these types of programs, you know, are hard to find, and especially hard to find when you're trying to teach a young woman that self-confidence, and that, you know, it's a struggle to do that and find things. Even sports. I mean, when they go out in the business world, every metaphor is a sports metaphor. And so women enter the workforce talking about, oh, you hit that out of the park. Oh, it was a grand slam. Yeah. And there weren't a lot of team sports, you know, for women. You can go to gymnastics, you can go to tennis, you can, you know, they had soccer and softball and stuff, but it wasn't the same, you know, kind of thing. And I see programs like this, and I think about my daughter, you know, who is actually an associate. We started a apprenticeship program to try to add some diversity to our hiring. And so young and early in career, or changing career, was kind of the theme behind it. But, you know, really targeting women and minorities so that not everybody in IT looks like this, you know. And
That's our model too. You know, we Brian's kind, because obviously MotoGo doesn't exist if he hadn't first started Skidmark Garage. But I think what's cool about Brian is that he steps aside and gives us a place for women. Like, he knows sometimes the best thing he can do to raise someone up is to just step to the side. So it was purposeful to make MotoGo female run. Our board is predominantly female, almost majority LGBTQ identifying. And of our 5 coaches on staff, 3 are female. So I think, like you're saying with your daughter, you know, not only is it cool to get girls in the industry, but if they can see that women are teaching their classes, and often women that look like them,
yeah,
I think it makes a big difference.
yeah, no, it's a huge difference. I love the concept, love the idea, and love the fact that you can do something like that seems simple. You know, it's shop class, but man, it's so empowering. And the difference between empowering and enabling is a hard line, especially as a dad, right? You want to empower your girls, but you also want to jump in there and just do sometimes, you know what I mean? And that kind of enables, right? Versus, I don't know, how would you get the wrench off, which is empowering, right? And teaching men the difference between the two is actually another class we should probably run.
Yeah. And I found, even though I was a regular high school teacher, I never knew that truly girls are better at almost every single thing on the planet than boys, except for lifting heavy objects. But I didn't know this until I taught a full motorcycle rebuild at the first girls' school we taught at. And man, because the boys come in with an ego, and they act like they know what the tools are, and they act like they know what they're doing when they don't know shit, they're really difficult to teach. Well, the
They're
girls
not coachable,
and they're like, I don't know what this is. Can you show me? What's the manual? What page do I go to that shows me, it tells me how to do this? Can you demonstrate for this one more time? And then I'll take care of it from here. And then, I mean, like,
Then they push you away.
If I had a choice, I would never bring any vehicle to a male mechanic ever again, because every girl we have taught is better than every male we've taught. It's unbelievable how this has changed my outlook on the fact that women should be running everything. It blows me away.
It makes them easy to be married to.
I was going to say, Brian for president. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
You can't do that because it should be a woman.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I learned that early on, and it made my life so much easier with my wife. Because I agree with you 100%, and it's totally true. I couldn't agree with you more.
somebody asked me the other day about managing, finances and stuff, and I go, I don't know. I don't know what the cable costs. I don't know what the groceries cost. I don't know. Tammy gives me an allowance so I don't dick up the checkbook, and she takes care of all that stuff because I'm horrible at it.
I got a tour of there's a couple local manufacturers in Cleveland, Wiseco Pistons being one of them. And I got a tour of the entire plant maybe a year ago. And they're showing me all these humongous machines they're just pumping out all these different parts and all these things and lasers and fire and plasma and all this crazy stuff. And you go in one room and there'll be 4 machines and like 8 dudes running these machines. We got into the next room and there were 2 machines and 1 woman. And I was like, I looked at Adam and I'm like, what's going on here? Why isn't this going on? He's like, she runs them both at the same time. I said, what about that room over there? And he was like, yeah, those guys, they've been working on those machines for years and they got to have 2 per machine to get the stuff done. And she is running both at the same time and gets just as much done. And I was like,
that's a union room, and that's not.
It's crazy.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh, that's a tell.
Yeah.
That is a tell.
Big time.
I mean, because you're talking about somebody's bottom line.
Yeah.
I just keep wanting to know when you're going to go back and visit and those 8 machines have 4 women in there.
It's only a matter of time, but
it's like take half of Bubba's salary, let Bubba go, and give Sally her salary and half of Bubba's salary.
Company's saving money.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Pumping out better products.
So we got about 10 minutes left on this call.
As soon as these women learn math, they'll realize that they might be saving the company some money.
There's so many things that I could say that I would just be killed for that I'm not going to say them. No. Nope.
James,
So,
don't worry about it. Don't worry. No, listen, don't worry about it. I'm sure that'll never be mentioned again today.
Oh.
But the whole time we're on the Isle of Man, every time we record an episode while we're on the Isle of Man, I'm gonna ask you.
Anyway, so you guys were both teachers.
Yeah.
What was your disciplines?
Poetry, history. Weren't you paying attention?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Like, what the heck, man?
I thought
she was a phys ed major, and then she moved into.
I was a phys ed major, but I actually never taught a gym class. Somehow I was a coach. So I coached softball. I taught Spanish, but I don't speak Spanish. And I taught religion. And then I became an administrator.
Oh, nice. No, now, Chris, to my defense, we talked about that before I hit record. So I'm letting our listeners hear that for the first time.
Are you guys having a marital dispute?
That's a good save, James. Really.
Yeah.
That's a good save. It's your lie, dude. You can make it as big as you want.
Hey, I'm trying to tee it up for history and write history. But no, you go ahead and talk about whatever the fuck you want.
So what do you ride now, Brian?
Shit, I haven't ridden in years.
Oh,
I haven't ridden since I opened the garage.
that's tragic.
I own a 78 Goldwing, a 72 CB350, a 69 CB750, a 65 Honda Dream, a 66 CL77, and
a 125.
Oh yeah, and a cool little CB125.
I don't ride it either.
But
and another 4350s that you had talked about earlier with the shop.
Yeah, those all belong to MotoGo, so I can't call them mine. But I don't know if any of my bikes run. I haven't had a chance to touch them. I got no time to work on them. I got no time to ride them. They're just kind of sitting until I find time.
Okay, well, so this fall, when Ride History is doing our tour on American music, and we're going from Nashville to Memphis to Muscle Shoals to New Orleans, and then the Barber Museum on the way back, just because it's on the way back.
Cool.
You can brush up your skills.
Yeah, I'll be on that ride with you.
Dude, seriously. So
Yeah.
neither one of you guys are riding actively now?
She's never ridden.
I wouldn't say never, never. I rode around the block the day you gave me that bike for my birthday.
Yeah.
I made it around the block.
Well,
And then it wasn't really working, and I haven't had time to work on it.
But yeah,
That's like the first bike that I got from my wife was a 125. She rode it once, and then a week later we found out she's pregnant, and she never rode it again.
again, they're smarter than we are. You guys will have to listen to the Disorderly Drifters episodes. This group of 30 somethings, they've sold everything, consolidated to one person's house, left North Dakota, and they're going around the world, and they're doing it on a Honda Monkeys.
Cool.
Everything they own is in 2 backpacks.
how many people?
There's five of them.
1 girl, 4 guys.
And 5 monkeys.
5 monkeys.
Well, 4 monkeys and
Well-
one.
He has the 125.
Yeah, he's got the 125.
Yeah. But they are in Colombia now?
Yeah.
Or Ecuador.
And
So, I
just
don't know,
like
there's
the woman is carrying everyone's bags so that they can ride and concentrate while she rides and carries the luggage. Is that how it works?
She's
what
definitely
she's
in
doing.
charge of the
she's doing-
group.
She is in charge.
You listen
is
to the 2
definitely in charge.
podcast episodes, man. It's clear who's in charge.
Wow.
Courtney is the media manager, which means that she controls all their shit, and she needs to, because we've talked to the guys a couple times. Yeah, they need a coach.
Adult supervision, yeah. But check out the episode with those folks when you talk about riding. And
Cool.
then we interviewed the lady she's now the president of Backcountry Discovery Routes. And she first trip was her and her husband to be taken off for Peru. Her first ride was like North America to South America. Just
Her first ride.
Just get on it and go.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was backcountry. It wasn't all roads. It was
Definitely
dirt.
not all roads. A lot of adventure riding.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope you guys get the time to get out in the window. I mean, I just, the therapy I get from riding is the reason that I ride. I mean, I started when I was 10. So I guess you could say I've been in therapy for 50 years, but that's what I like to tell people. It's working. I mean, it's working.
I'm trying to, I think there's a TV show in this project that you guys are doing. There should be something that is spotlighting your efforts and what you're doing. Not a competition, no drama, none of that bullshit, but something educational in like a Discovery Channel.
Motor
Without
Trend,
all
man.
the hype. Motor Trend would be awesome. But the showcasing of this, let's learn small gas engines.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was sad, but Jesse Combs and I were talking. She was getting a show on the road where they were going to different high schools around the country and redoing the shop class rooms that had been repurposed as like computer rooms. And so she had this whole thing, and I think it was Discovery, and they were going to go in and they were going to put top-notch shop class gear in all these rooms, and she was going to feature us doing MotoGo. And we had this whole thing, we were just starting to have the conversations, and like 2 weeks later she died in that crash.
Man, that was a big loss.
That would have been the perfect combination.
I say
Yeah.
Mike Rowe. This is a Mike Rowe project right here.
Please,
Yeah,
if
we've
Mike
reached out
Rowe
a
is
million
listening,
times.
we've tried to find him 1,000 different ways, but I know he's a hard fella to get a hold of. So if anyone out there has a connection, we'd love to talk.
Yeah, any of you 50 that listen to this show, if you know how to get a hold of Mike Rowe.
Yeah, it's about 25 now because 50% of the population
I
is still
killed
trying to
it.
learn math.
I killed it. All right, we got about
no,
a
but I
minute
just
Guys, asking us to be here, it means a lot. I see that there's 2 minutes, so I want to have a shameless plug to have our website. It's
Do it.
Oh, they put it on there.
MotoGo.com. MotoGoCleveland.com. You can follow MotoGo Cleveland on Instagram, Facebook, SkidmarkGarage.com. If you happen to be near Cleveland, Brian has his grand opening this coming Saturday, not this Saturday, the following Saturday, May 7th, which is his birthday.
Nice. Well, listen, but when we do this for YouTube, obviously for podcasts, it won't, but on the YouTube, we always will put those things up on the screen. So we'll make sure and put that up there for folks that maybe they're just learning to read. Well, I don't know. Who knows? James can do a little hooked on phonics or something, man. I don't know.
I do want to give a little shout out to Mark Adams. He's the one that reached out to us on Instagram and said, listen, you guys, you have to talk to these, to Molly and Brian and learn what they're doing. Here's here's their website. Here's, their Instagram. I met him doing some pictures, and he was the reason why we started talking to you. Is he pushed us, and we've never talked to him before either. He just unsolicited reached out to us on Instagram saying, hey, you need to talk to these people because they would be great for your show. That was a cool
post.
Yeah.
Oh, we love you, Mark Adams.
Yeah, he's a great dude.
Yeah, he hit us up on Instagram with that, and unsolicited.
Mark Adams Pictures on Instagram. So
he lived in my garage for about a year and a half. Literally slept there every single night.
Nice.
That's awesome.
All right, so
his bike from San Francisco to Cleveland broke down and stayed for a year and a half, sleeping in my lounge garage.
See, you ride till it dies, and that's where you stay. I mean, it's just it's been that way in this country forever.
All right.
Before we lose our clock, I want to thank you guys so much for joining us this evening.
Yeah,
been fantastic. Really enjoyed it.
Thanks a lot.
Not a problem. Chris,
James,
everybody else, write her out.
Write it out.